me that you love me.
Every parent can relate to being frustrated and sometimes embarrassed having that child make a scene in the store. So with her new book, The Good News About Bad Behavior, Katherine Reynolds Lewis, she offers parents new approaches to navigating the challenges of behavior with solutions that might work with your child. Great to have you here with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So listen, this is nothing new when it comes to behavioral issues. We know going back to, gosh, biblical times, medieval times, kids have always acted up. Nothing new. But you say that our society, well, we've gotten kind of out of control with our kids, that they're acting up even more. Why is that? Whose fault is it?
Well, it's really scary when you look at the numbers. And I spent 5 years doing research and reporting, talking to educators and teachers and parents, psychologists across the country. Every teacher who's been working more than 10 years said the kids enter kindergarten less able to control their hands. They can't really share. They come to the teacher to resolve problems. So something was very different when I started my reporting. And the ultimate thing that I came up with is a National Institutes of Health study that found 1 in 2 kids will have a mood or behavioral disorder or a substance addiction by age 18. And now, whoa, that's a big, that's not necessarily every kid who's misbehaving, but it shows us how severe it has gotten for many children.
So we are seeing an increase then in these issues, and it's starting earlier and earlier. And of course, we know that there's research out there that says that there are more kids with ADHD and that sort of thing. What part does social media play into this?
Well, there's 3 big factors that are causing the increase in behavioral problems. One is the lack of play and outdoor play, and number 2 is media and social media. The third is lack of connection in our families and our homes, and children really being unemployed where they don't have jobs in the household. And social media is especially pernicious because it feeds on our anxiety and depression, because we're always looking at what other people are doing, how their perfect lives compare to ours. And it's true for parents as well as for children. So the more that we can, not necessarily ban social media, but for our tweens and teenagers, talk to them about how are you using this? When you post, do you post all your moments in your life or just the best ones? Well, maybe your friends are doing the same.
And when it comes to a lot of the methods that you use in terms of, okay, everybody can relate to the child that doesn't want to go to bed, or it gets up 3 and 4 times, or the child that has the meltdown in the store because they want that toy. With your method, which is all about the child self-disciplining themselves, how do you deal with those moments?
The only thing we can really control is ourselves. So we have to decide, how am I going to respond to this child, and then stick with it. And if we're responding intentionally, instead of just reacting out of anger or frustration or being exhausted, then we're much more able to hold the line. And with bedtime, for example, my husband and I said after 8:30, we are off duty. And before that time, we love to cuddle you, get that extra glass of water, read the book. And when it hits 8:30, we're off duty. And the kids at first may be a little fussy after 8:30. They may come back and ask for more and more. But if you hold the line, they will learn, oh, I better manage my time so I get all the things in with my mom and dad before that deadline.
Right, of course, and it's age appropriate what you would do with a 3-year-old versus what you might do with a 6 or 7-year-old. Same thing with a toy in the store. If a child wants that toy in the store, you tell them before going into the store?
Right. Planning is so important in this, and preparing so that they know what to expect. And sometimes kids have meltdowns. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean they're going to be in a van down by the river, you know, that you're failing as a parent. You just move on with your day. Oh, I'm sorry you wanted that toy. Pick up the child and leave.
Right, because above everything, I think, again, anyone with kids knows that hopeless feeling that you get. What I like about your methods is that it doesn't really require any extra time that's built into the parent's schedule. Okay, so let's talk about some of the key steps that a child can self-regulate. What's practical? You say look at the home as though it's a learning lab all the time.
All the time. Our kids' job is to learn through making mistakes as they grow up. And that's the good news about bad behavior, is that it's a normal part of how kids are growing up today. They're going to have mistakes, they're going to get into tantrums, they're going to do the wrong thing. And then if they learn from the consequence, instead of us punishing them and them being mad at us, they are not distracted from that opportunity to develop their self-discipline.
I really like the way your book is laid out. It's very easy to read and get through. It really, you say it's not like a manual, which it really isn't. It's about taking some of the methods that you have in it and seeing what practically works for the parents, whoever it is that's reading it. But you talk about connecting, communicating, capability, and limiting some of those routines.
Yes.
If you can elaborate a little more on the list. So when it comes to connecting, we're talking about making sure there's that dinner time, that weekly event that takes place, right?
Right. It could be a family dinner. That's a wonderful way to connect. But some families do a family breakfast. If you get home late from work, you may find another time during the week. The key is that when our kids start to act up, it usually means they're missing that connection. They're not getting that time with their parents that they need. And so they'll try to act out to get it, even if it's negative attention.
And of course, modeling that behavior, always being there for the child. What's interesting, as I was reading a LinkedIn article about what some of the millennials lack, and that is the ability to communicate and connect. So how fitting your book. If folks want more information, how can they find you?
www.katherinerlewis.com. The book's published by PublicAffairs, and it's available anywhere books are sold, ebook, hardcover, and audiobook.
Katherine Lewis, thank you very much. I'm going to get this one signed for my son and daughter-in-law. Not that they need it. Okay. Still ahead, it's 9:33 here on Good Morning Washington. Hey, we're juicing. Will juice.